Welcome to Head to Head. We just recorded about 3 minutes of it, but I didn't have the audio on. I'm at Mr.X, and this is Reinforce. How you doing today, Johnny? Also, by the way, this is a new guest on Head to Heads. Johnny, you may realize, is never really on
Am I
these.
really a guest, though? It's literally our podcast platform.
That's true. It's true. You're a partial owner of the platform.
I am the third co-host of Head to Heads now.
Yeah, that's true. I guess, well, I would be the only host since I'm the only one always here, but...
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
you'd be a co-host. Today we're going to discuss if the Toronto Defiant are for real or not. What are your thoughts again?
Again, Matt, I think the Toronto Defiant are for real, okay? I checked the VODs of the Summer Showdown, and it seems like they've started into this... Check the VODs. They've started into this meta perfectly. I think that Genji is here to stay for long enough for the Toronto Defiant to actually have some good performances moving forward and actually end the season on a high. And keep in mind with the playoff format, all teams qualify and you have a chance. So if Genji stays in the meta, I actually think that the Toronto Defiant, they're for real.
Do you think Jeff is going to let the Timmies on the forums go without a Genji nerf?
I mean, you didn't listen to the Timmies when it was nerfing goats, right? So why can't Genji stay in the meta? Look, Genji's been out of the rotation for like 2 years. He comes back for one tournament, and people are just raging on Twitter. Like, what's going on here? Leave him in! Leave him in for like 2-3 months!
Agilities can pop off! I'm down with that, but I don't think it's going to happen. They're already talking about an experimental playlist, which will have nerfs to Genji in it. For me, I like the Toronto Defiant. I really do. I think they're a nice team. They have a lot of good players, a really personable team. If you ask me one of the brands that I think can grow in the Overwatch League, like the most, I think they have one of the highest upsides as a brand potential, just because they have a big city, a lot of likable players, Canadian homegrown talent as well. Does that mean they're gonna like win NA? Hell no. Nah.
But they've improved a ton, man.
They have, and they always play the top teams close. I just can't see it happening. I think I don't think they're far away though. I think maybe like another piece in the off season, if they really solidify like the main tank position, I think they're and maybe one more damage dealer, like a really another high impact damage dealer. I think they're in a great spot. I don't know if they have the firepower though to go into another tournament with more teams, right? Because everyone will qualify. It'll be double elim, and you got to beat like Paris, the Shock, Philly. I think it'll be tough.
Yeah, but come on. I mean, you can't just set the expectation to win straight away, okay? This is a team that has been struggled throughout the season, right? And now they actually made top 4 at the Summer Showdown, and I think they can continue to reach top 8 anyways in tournaments, and then maybe try to qualify for that semifinal spot in some of these tournaments, including the Countdown Cup. Because I think that overall, this team has grown a ton. I think that early on in the season, we looked at this roster and we talked about Surefour and Agilities and Logics being like the standout players on this team. But since then, they've added small pieces, they've added Cruise, they've added Numlock, their shot calling looks a lot better, their double shield spam looked significantly better.
What's the bar that you think, though? Like, for saying they're for real, what's the bar for you?
For real, I think, well, at least above mid-table. I think that they can continue to be above mid-table. And part of that reason is because other teams in the NA region are disappointing right now. We put Houston Outlaws at like number 4 in our power rankings.
Still fucking mind-blowing.
They could fall so quickly. So I think that this is the time for Toronto to really improve and actually solidify themselves higher up in the power rankings.
I can give you some of that argument, like a win there, because I do think some of the other teams in NA are just suck right now.
They do.
I mean, where I think especially in the Genji meta where you have agilities, who's a Genji you can pop off pretty consistently, you're in a good spot. I just don't think Genji's going to last long. I feel horrible about it because I want him to last long because I like watching it. I just don't think it will. And then when that goes away, you know how Overwatch players and Overwatch League players are. They just kind of default to like what was recently the meta. So we'll go back to something.
Genji? No, come on.
So we won't go back to Agility's Genji. We'll probably go back to double hit scan. And they were playing teams close, but they weren't able to win. Maybe there's a big difference to be had with Numlock now in the lineup. But is that enough to get them over the hump? Like for me, I guess when I think about are they for real, I set that bar as like top 4.
Okay. Well,
I don't know.
The top 4 is hard because there's like Paris Eternal, there's like Philadelphia Fusion and Florida Mayhem, etc. Houston Outlaws are there now. Okay. It's going to be hard to claim that number 4 spot because you have to be so consistent.
Toronto,
but you have
right
to keep in mind. In the right meta, they could, yeah. But I want you to keep in mind, Matt, the fact that Toronto Defiant have been like bottom tier for the entire season. I mean, we've been playing Overwatch now for 5 months, and they're finally putting up good performances. So when I say setting the bar, or well, actually like being for real, they're at least way better than they have been throughout the season, and Toronto Defiant fans have something to look forward to and be happy about. So I think top 8 is certainly in the cards for this NA team, and then perhaps being able to reach the semifinals.
Johnny, come on. I mean, are we celebrating top 8 in a 13-team division? Why don't, instead of doing a 13-team playoff, why don't we just send all 13 teams to the grand final? I mean, if that's how we're going to think about it.
The entire time!
Yeah?
Gradual improvement!
So, so are we giving them credit because they sucked before? That'd be like Boston sneaks into the top 8. You're like, oh man, Boston's the real deal. Like, why? Because look at how bad they were before. I don't think you can say that.
I'm just saying that I think that this team has continued to improve every month, okay? And you have added Cruz and Numlock, and their shot calling is better. You have Kariv in the backline, putting out unreal damage on the Batiste role as well. And actually, they have a lot of threat on this roster, okay? I know I'm Swedish. Nevix might be a weak link on this roster. He had some decent performances in the Summer Showdown, and maybe that's where you want to upgrade, and maybe, as you said, you want to add another damage player. But overall, I think this is a team that has started to figure out what they're about and how they want to evolve and develop this roster moving forward. So I think, though, that you have to actually start to respect this team a lot more, okay? Are they for real as in top 4? Maybe not, but I think you have to put a lot more respect.
They're going to be a respectable team the rest of the way. They're going to be a team that's going to be anywhere from 6 to 8 the rest of the way. Would I say that's a real deal? I mean, I think that's just down to our opinions. For me, I think real deal is like, okay, do they have a chance to be the top 2, go to the finals and whatnot? Nah, don't. I mean, maybe in an upset, you could see it. But it's a long upset. I mean, you have to do 2-3 upsets to get to that point.
Okay. You've moved the goalpost, Matt. But I mean, I guess you win then.
Well, no.
Do you crown a winner?
Well, what I was gonna say is, I think this. I think the organization though is the real deal. You see, they're building a Esports stadium in Toronto now.
Oh yeah.
Their group. They have a lot of good players that I think are fan favorites. And I think they're only like 1 or 2 players away, like high impact players on their roster, from being a team that's consistently top 4. There's no reason you don't look at this roster and look at like, Gladiators, Atlanta, Houston,
even Valiant,
Dallas, Valiant, and think that like, okay, with 1 or 2 additions, we're better than those teams. Not like a debatable, like, oh, maybe they're better, maybe we're better. Like, I think they are in a position where small upgrades, and they're undeniably better than some of those teams.
I'm just saying, I think that with those other teams underperforming currently, Toronto Defiant has a chance to be better than those teams now if they capitalize on this opportunity.
It's a lot going to shake down to meta, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if Genji is good and you have agilities and he plays like we've known him to play in the past on that hero, you're in a good spot. I even think his Doomfist is a little reckless at times, but I even think Doomfist you can be a successful meta.
Yeah.
I would say maybe in Pharah, but we all know Pharah is never getting played in the Overwatch League. I mean, come on.
She's not coming back.
Yeah, I'm not.
I actually think to close things out, I don't know what the time is, but it feels like we've covered this topic. But I would be worried whether Surefour is coming back to this team or not. Like if he's going to get consistent playtime moving forward, because he's had a bit of a break now and he hasn't played a ton, and agilities and logics have really like fulfilled the damage positions on this team. How is Surefour going to be introduced back into the mix? I think that is the biggest worry, because the one thing, as you say, to worry about is if Genji gets nerfed, and now you have to figure out what you want to do with your DPS lineup again.
Right. I do think Surefour's a huge asset in terms of being able to come in and play hit scan. And if we ever got back to like a Sombra meta, you would definitely see Surefour play again. There's a lot of heroes that he's incredible at. So I think we're not far off on what our opinions are of this Toronto team. Let us know in the comments what you guys think about the Toronto Defiant, whether they are for real or whether they're just a pretender, whether you think they just can't get it done against the top teams. Let us know. Like, subscribe, comment. Goodbye.